Stop scrolling. Stop running. Stop pretending. You already know what you need to do, but you keep lying to yourself. Every second you spend looking for motivation is a second you're avoiding the truth. You don't need another video. You don't need another quote. You don't need another voice telling you what you already know deep down. What you need is to suffer. What you need is to shut your mouth and start building pain into power. You need to feel the sting of effort. You need to feel the burn of discipline. You need to feel the silence of consistency. Because the truth is this, suffering in silence is the breeding ground of greatness. Not comfort, not applause, not dopamine hits from endless scrolling. No one ever became a killer while chasing comfort. No one ever built legacy by feeling good. The strongest men in history built their empires through pain, through repetition, through waking up alone, unmotivated, broken, but moving anyway. You want to be a weapon? Then build in silence. Suffer in silence. You want to transform? Then shut up and bleed. You want to be noticed? Then disappear now and let your results scream later. Too many of you are addicted to attention, addicted to being seen. You want your struggle validated. You want your grind praised. But real power lives in shadows. Real monsters are built in isolation. Not on stage, not in your Instagram stories, but in the dark, where there's no feedback, no praise, just you versus you every damn day. And if you can't suffer there, you don't deserve anything out here. You keep saying you want it, but you don't want the process. You want the outcome. You want the result. You want the recognition, but not the daily pain, not the discipline, not the silence. That's the gap. That's the reason you keep falling short. That's the reason you stay average. You can't do the work when no one's watching. You can't do the work when it's boring. You can't do the work when your body aches and your mind says stop. That's where the monsters win. That's where the killers are built. In those exact moments, the ones you keep skipping. And here's the truth you don't want to hear. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort is the coffin. It wraps itself around you like a blanket and suffocates your potential. It gives you 1,000 reasons to stay soft, to stay still, to stay weak. You start skipping the gym because you're tired. You stop pushing yourself because you've been through a lot. You start scrolling because it's easier than suffering. You feed the comfort. And in doing so, you starve your greatness. And slowly, day by day, you become a shell, a shadow, a man who could have been something. But this is your chance to kill that version, to kill the softness, to bury the coward. And the only way to do it is to suffer in silence, to get back in the dirt, to welcome the pain, to crave the struggle. You need to find joy in the darkness. You need to become the man who doesn't flinch when the work is heavy and the rewards are invisible. That's real strength, not talent, not motivation, discipline, endurance, obsession, the willingness to bleed without applause, the hunger to grow without being seen, because growth is not loud, it's not pretty, it's not cinematic, it's quiet, it's slow, it's miserable. You show up, you suffer, you repeat, you get no feedback, you get no approval, but you keep going. That's how you become a problem. That's how you become undeniable. You become the man that no one sees coming. Because you're not out here begging for attention. You're too busy becoming dangerous. Every man wants to be respected, but they don't want to be tested. They want to be admired without being broken. But the test is where you earn it. The fire is where you're forged. You want character? Go suffer. You want peace? Go suffer. You want freedom? Go suffer. Not once, not sometimes, every single day. Wake up early, stay up late, skip the comfort, kill the distractions, cut the excuses. Go to war with yourself and do it in silence. Because that's the difference between the few who make it and the many who never will. The ones who make it, they suffer alone. They suffer on purpose. They suffer by choice. They don't need permission. They don't need a hype song. They don't need perfect conditions. They just move. They suffer. They repeat. And through that process, they evolve. They become the men everyone else pretends to be. So stop scrolling. Start suffering. I don't care what happened to you. I don't care how hard your past was. I don't care who broke you. You want to fix your life? Then start suffering. Start doing the hard things no one's clapping for. Start building pain tolerance. Start practicing discipline so violently that even your weaknesses are afraid of you. No applause, no reward, just suffering over and over again. And then one day, without warning, you'll rise. You'll look in the mirror and see something unrecognizable, something powerful, something built in blood, and you'll smile because you earned it alone. You see, every man wants to rise, but almost none are willing to bleed in silence for it. They all want power, but they flinch at the pain. They want respect, but they skip the reps. You want to be respected? Then earn it without anyone watching. Earn it when it's dark, when it's cold, when it's lonely. Earn it when everything in you says stop and you say no. I keep going. That's the difference. That's the edge. That's what breaks the weak and shapes the strong. It's not the spotlight. It's the shadows. It's the nights you don't sleep. The mornings you wake up with nothing left. The moments you cry in private and still put in the work. You suffer in silence. And if you can do that, if you can keep showing up when no one claps, you become lethal, untouchable, because no one can take that from you. Not failure, not loss, not hate. You already bled for it. You already earned it in pain, in silence. And most men will never know that power because most men are addicted to feedback, addicted to validation, addicted to noise. You keep checking if anyone saw your grind, if anyone liked your discipline. But growth doesn't care about your audience. Greatness doesn't need witnesses. You think the champions are built when the lights are on? Number, they're built in hell. In the gym when it's empty, in the office when it's quiet, in the cold when it's miserable, when it's raining, when it's uncomfortable, when it's thankless. They're built when no one sees the work, but they do it anyway. That's how you become undeniable. You don't post about the pain, you walk through it. You don't brag about the discipline, you bleed it. You don't talk about the process, you become the process. And then, when the time is right, you step into the light. Not because you asked for it, because you earned it. You've been wasting years looking for easier, looking for smoother, looking for better timing, that perfect alignment of energy, clarity, motivation, and peace. But let me tell you something, it's never coming. There is no perfect time. There is only now. There is only today. today. And if you can't suffer today, you don't get the luxury of a better tomorrow. You're trying to bargain with greatness, trying to make deals with results. I'll show up, but only when I feel good. That's why you're losing. That's why your life feels heavy, because you think you deserve comfort and growth at the same time. You think you can scroll through your pain. You think you can run from your weak, but it doesn't work like that. Weakness hunts you. Softness multiplies in comfort. And every time you run from the grind, you're letting it win. So stop running. Stop looking for distraction. Stop numbing yourself with entertainment. Stop feeding your anxiety with content and start feeding your identity with pain, with work, with silence. Suffer. Not once. Every day. Suffer on purpose. Suffer with intent. Suffer knowing that every second in that war zone is forging you into something new, something stronger, something harder to kill. You think you're tired now? Good. That means you've been doing something. That means the weakness is starting to break. You think it's painful now? Good. That means growth is waking up. That means the old you is screaming, let him die. Let the lazy version of you beg for comfort. And then silence him with reps. Silence him with consistency. Silence him with early mornings and late nights. Silence him with cold showers, hard training, clean eating, and relentless focus. That's how you bury weakness. You don't talk it away. You train it away. You suffer it away. Because this world doesn't care how you feel. This world doesn't slow down because you're sad. This world will walk over you if you don't harden up. That's why you need to suffer, not to be punished, to be prepared. Life is coming. Chaos is coming. You better be ready. Because when it comes, you won't have time to learn how to be tough. You either already be tough or you'll fold. You'll either fight back or you'll be broken. And the men who survive, the men who thrive, the men who lead, they've been suffering for years in silence. So when the pressure shows up, they don't blink. They don't shake. They execute. That's what I want from you. I want you to suffer so hard that life becomes easy. I want you to train so consistently that obstacles feel like warm-ups. I want you to build such discipline that even your bad days look like most people's best days. But to get there, you need to stop scrolling. You need to stop checking your phone. Stop asking for permission. Stop asking how long it will take. Stop waiting for the fire. Be the fire. Become the problem. Become the reason everyone else doubts themselves. Become the man who doesn't flinch, doesn't quit, doesn't fold. Become the man who suffers with purpose, who grinds in silence, who earns everything and complains about nothing. You say you want to change. Then stop talking, stop typing, stop consuming, and start suffering in silence. You ever wonder why nothing changes? Why every January feels the same every Monday, every morning? Because deep down you're still soft. You haven't made the decision. You keep flirting with the grind instead of marrying it. You're still dipping your toe into discipline instead of drowning in it. You treat consistency like it's optional. Like you can hit it sometimes and still win. But the truth is you only win when you submit. When you bow to the altar of suffering and say, take me every single day. Until the pain doesn't break you, builds you. Until the silence doesn't scare you, it sharpens you. Until the discomfort doesn't make you ruin it, makes you sprint harder. But that takes a kind of mentality most men will never taste. Because most men want rewards for work they never did. They want the body without the sweat, the money without the grind, the respect without the scars. But you don't get respect from talk. You get from results. And results don't come from feelings. They come from discipline. Ruthless, daily, lonely discipline. Discipline when you're sick. Discipline when you're stressed. Discipline when you're broke. Discipline when you're ignored. When no one believes. When even you don't believe. That's when you push. That's when you suffer. That's when you become a real threat.